one more time to get my pictures in. But this, nice. I know these are in. I'm just gonna put the houses in.
No.
Jury though.
Does he keep doing that with you? Two, I think, right? We just need Dr. Clipper and Dr. Anderson. Probably both of them. I think both of them. For the whole day, yeah. One in the morning, one in the afternoon. Could go faster.
Closing arguments.
She says she has the openings electronic. So if you get your email address, she'll send it to them first.
Please be seated. Go ahead, Mr. Parrish.
Thank you, Your Honor. Okay, I just have a few more questions for you. We left off right when we were talking about February into March and the volume of text messages and the fact that they kept coming in continually. Is that correct?
Yes.
How did you know that the text messages was from an individual in February and March by the name of Andrea Farrington?
At first, he would tell me he was texting her, and a couple times I saw his phone.
Okay. But how did you know when you weren't looking at his phone, they were coming in from her as opposed to someone else?
Because there was no one else that I had ever known him to purposefully keep his phone pointed away from me during.
At one point during the month of April, did the texting stop or did it slow down at all? Or do you recall in April and May?
I remember it stopped around the beginning or middle of April.
All right. Did you know at that time how Alex was doing with regard to his work? How was work going at the mall and security company?
He dreaded every day.
How could you tell?
He would tell me, and I would always ask him who was working that day, because that usually would determine whether or not he had a good day.
Did he ever express when he was upset or when he would talk to you about how he felt about the people at work?
Yes.
What did he tell you?
Basically that they were idiots, that they would tell him to do something, not show him how to do it, and get mad if he didn't do it right.
Did he ever tell you about any issue prior to, and we're going to get into June in just a second, prior to June, about any issue he was having with Andrea Farrington and any issue he had related to his work having to do with her?
No.
Let's then go forward in May. What was his conduct like toward you in May of 2015, right before the 1st of June?
It kind of went back and forth. One day he would be super just happy, doing just cute little things. One day he would not really pay any attention to me.
And some days he would pay a lot of attention to you.
Yes.
And as you started into the month of June, did you notice at all that text messaging between he and someone else picked up again?
Yes.
And what was it like during that period of time in terms of the number or what you would hear and how often you would hear it?
When it started again?
Yes.
It started out a little slow, and then it started picking back up to its pace before.
Where it was constant dinging, or what was it? Would it be a ding, or what would it be?
It was like radio traffic. I think it said like Normandy to South Shore, like
The
some
Marine
Pearl
song or
Harbor.
something? You don't know what it was?
I don't know what it is.
Okay, but that's the beat that you would hear. And describe to the jury, would it stop at 9 o'clock at night or 10 o'clock at night?
No.
How would you know that?
I would be trying to sleep, and I would tell her to shut up. I'm trying to go to sleep. You know, that there's no reason for that. Just make her stop or something.
And that's what you would tell him?
Yes.
All right, we're getting now close to the June 12th date, and I want you to tell the jury as best you can recall, right before the 12th, let's say the 8th, 9th, and 10th, when you were hearing the phone text going off all the time, was Alex sleeping at night?
It was hard to say. He would sleep, he would stay up really late, and then he would sleep way later into the morning than usual, but he never acted like he'd gotten enough sleep.
Did he ever put his phone down during that time?
When he was asleep,
Even when he would go to bed, did he put his phone down?
he usually had it next to him. I would usually go to sleep before he would, and he would still be texting.
And where would he have his phone while he'd be texting?
It never had time to leave his hand.
And when he would wake up the next morning or get up out of bed the next morning, would the texting start right away again?
Yes.
Were you aware that a couple of days before this shooting occurred, that he and his boss had a breakdown had a disagreement about the pepper spray incident, saying that he had overreacted to that, in addition to any complaints made by Andrea Farrington? Were you aware of that?
I only knew about the pepper spray.
The night before this happened, which would be June 11th, did you and Alexander go out?
Yes.
Tell the jury where you went to that night.
We went to get tickets for Jurassic World, and the one we had been going to go to was sold out, so we went to Texas Roadhouse first.
And after, was it a date night?
It was a surprise date night when I got home from work.
And what was that a result of, that date night on June 11th? What was that a result of? Why did you have it?
He knew I was very upset with him about the texting, and so I don't remember if he specifically said it, but that was the impression I got, that it was to make it up to me.
And how was he dressed that night on June 11th?
Fancy. He had a long sleeve shirt and a vest, and he wore his fedora, and I think he had some black pants.
And where did you go to this movie?
At the movie theater in the mall.
And did you go by the Welcome Center?
No.
Did you go an opposite direction from the Welcome Center?
Yes, we went in the doors right by the movie theater.
Which is around the back area? Well, I don't know what you call it.
For the tickets or the movie itself?
For both?
I think they were both by the theater.
Okay. Did you know Ms. Farrington, and had you seen her prior to the night of June 11th?
I have never seen her
Okay.
that I know of.
Did you see anyone at the welcome booth that you saw Alex go over and talk with that night before, when he was dressed in his fedora and his black outfit?
I know we walked around the mall, he talked to a few people, but I don't remember him talking to anyone at the Welcome Center.
All right. And when you walked by the Welcome Center, as you think back, did you see anybody, and you were walking with Alex that night?
Yes.
Did you see anybody working at the Welcome Center on the night of June 11th?
I don't even recall the Welcome Center at all, from what I remember.
Okay. And that was the last night you'd gone to the mall. Before the shooting was the night before, where he was wearing his fedora, his black outfit, and you went to see Jurassic Park, is that correct?
Yes.
And after you left Jurassic Park that night, do you know whether or not he continued to text into the night?
I don't know about that night. I knew he was texting while we were at dinner before.
Okay.
I believe he was after as well.
Okay. That's your best recollection, is that correct?
Yes.
Now, after the shooting, where did the officer stop you?
Outside of my apartment building.
Did they interview you at that point?
They asked me a few questions, but not a full official interview.
Were they more concerned about were you safe?
No, I didn't think so.
All right. What did they, I'm sorry, not what, how long did they keep you when they talked to you?
At the apartment building,
Yes, ma'am.
maybe 10 minutes.
Did they ever come back and re-interview you later?
They took me to the station.
And did they interview you there?
Yes.
How long did they interview you there?
It's hard to say because they kept leaving me and coming back, but
What-
I was
what's the
there
outcome?
maybe, they interviewed me maybe half an hour, an hour.
At any point in time when they were interviewing you, did you share with them any incidents with regard to Alex's temper that you had observed or his conduct that had been distressing you of late?
I don't think so.
Did you tell them you knew who Ms. Farrington was during the time that they asked you any questions?
I told them I had heard of her.
But you didn't know the extent of the relationship, is that correct?
I knew she texted him all the time. That was all I knew.
Nothing further.
Cross-examination.
Yes, thank you. Can you give me the time frame, Ms. Kozak, for when he seemed to be getting a lot of text messages?
It started probably the end of February, and then it stopped. Remember, it was a little after April because I yelled at him a lot in the beginning of April, and I thought that was why he stopped. And then it started again in May or June.
Okay. You didn't know the extent of his relationship with Andrea Farrington at all, is that right?
Not his side of it.
And did you know about Jessica German?
I knew they were friends and they texted sometimes.
Okay. Did you ever meet her?
No.
Did you know any of the other women that he was texting?
No, I knew they didn't really text that often, so I didn't really care that much.
Okay. If he was texting other women besides Andrea, he didn't mention their names, is that right?
He would mention names to me once in a while, but since she was the one I was more upset with, I didn't really take much note of it.
Did he mention a Katie Lee that he texted?
The name sounds familiar, but I don't remember much about it.
And do you know how often he texted Jessica German?
Just sporadically throughout the day.
And do you know what time frame that was in terms of when they started texting, what month, et cetera?
No.
You said he accused you of cheating in the fall of 2014?
Wouldn't necessarily put an exact time frame on it, but he did accuse me of cheating multiple times.
Okay. Was that even through the spring of 2015?
About a month after we got married, it never really stopped.
Okay. So really from October of 2014 up through June 12th of 2015, he was accusing you of cheating on him?
Off and on.
How would you respond to him when he accused you?
I would get really upset, try to explain to him, and he would just get more angry, and I would try to explain again, and it would just make him more mad, and usually it would just end with us yelling at each other into awkward silence.
Did you see him getting mad with other people?
Yes.
And who did you see him getting mad at?
I didn't see a lot of him directly with the person, but he would tell me about things that had happened at work, and he would get really upset about it, just recalling it.
Do you remember when you were interviewed that night and the officer was asking you about a variety of things about him, including about whether he had a temper?
I think he just asked if he had a temper, not much detail.
Okay. Do you remember what you told him then?
Not exactly.
Okay. Would it help refresh your recollection if you looked at your statement?
Possibly.
May I approach, Your Honor?
May.
Ms. Kozak, if you could take a look and just read that to yourself right now. Does this appear to be your statement you gave to Rich Smith on June 12th of 2015?
Some of it, but some of it does not look accurate.
Okay. Could you look at this section?
Yes.
Okay. Do you remember, does that refresh your recollection?
I don't remember saying it, but it sounds like something I would say.
Okay. So Detective Smith asked you something about your husband's temper, is that right?
Apparently so.
Okay. And what did you tell him?
That he didn't really have one unless someone was mistreating him or someone else.
And that you didn't, do you remember saying you didn't even recall the last time you had seen him get angry and shout at someone else?
At that time, I really wasn't thinking much of anything.
Okay. Were you ever frightened of him?
I was more worried that he would break something or hurt himself than me.
And he never broke anything at home, though?
I remember he's thrown things, but I don't think anything's actually broken.
Okay. What kind of things would he throw?
I think his iPod once, I think he threw his work shirt, just random things.
Okay. But never broke anything?
Not that I can remember.
And when he was getting angry, did you ever recommend he go see a psychologist, a psychiatrist, or anyone?
I think I briefly asked if he thought he needed to see someone once.
But you didn't pursue it?
No.
Did you ever know he was on the app Whisper?
Yes.
Was that something you used as well?
I did some. After he got into it more, he and I would both be on it and we would share funny things with each other back and forth.
Do you know how many different times he was on Whisper or how many different people he contacted on Whisper?
Quite a few.
Was that something he enjoyed doing?
Yes.
From the time you originally started going out with him in June of 2014, texting was something he did regularly, is that right?
With me, not as much other people.
Okay. Did you ever accuse him of cheating on you?
I did. I think it was more that I believe my exact words were, it doesn't matter what you think the relationship is, if you're just friends, she thinks it's something else and you're enabling her.
Nothing further, thank you.
Can you redirect, Mr. Parrish?
Did I ask you how old you were?
Yes.
I think so.
And, how old were you when you got married?
When we got married, it was the day before my 20th birthday.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything further, Ms. Linus?
No, Your Honor.
Ma'am, you may step down. You're excused. Mr. Parrish, do you have any further witnesses to call this afternoon?
I don't, Your Honor, and subject to the admission of our exhibits, and I would like to double check on those, Judge, where we are with certain exhibits we've agreed upon. And I would to make an official offer, though, of 3, Judge. And I think the Exhibit I, the target range is in. Exhibit G, the Sadler Lane apartment building is in. The 3 I would move, Judge, to admit would be D, E, and F. D being the photo of Alex's home, E being the photo of the home at Maple Street, F being the photo on Pleasant Street. We would move to admit those 3, Judge.
Is there still an objection to D, E, and F, Ms. Linus?
Yes, Your Honor.
I'll overrule the objection. The photos are admitted. So exhibits D, E, and F are admitted. Any further evidence at this time, Mr. Parrish?
No, Your Honor. I think the state and I have agreed with regard to some telephone records, and we'll look at those, Judge. I'd like to save at that time to rest to make sure that I've agreed on all of those, but we would have no additional witnesses.
So I will adjourn the trial for the day. We can discuss any remaining exhibits first thing in the morning, and I'll presume, assuming there's no hitch or sudden change, that the defendant will rest in the morning and we'll proceed to rebuttal case from the state. I understand, Ms. Linus, there will be a rebuttal case. Is that correct?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right, so ladies and gentlemen of the jury, this is one of those days when none of us could anticipate exactly how long the evidence was going to take. It sounds like it was just raining really hard, so I may have a bad time to send you out, but I am going to send you out for the day. We'll have you back at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. Please remember your admonition, and I think we are getting closer to the end of the evidence, and we can see the light at the end of the tunnel. So we'll see you back tomorrow at 9. Thank you. Counsel, you be seated. Is there anything we need to put on the record at this point?
I don't believe so, Your Honor.
No, Your Honor.
All right, I will see you all back a little before 9, just in case there's an issue tomorrow. I'm assuming we're putting on the 2 defense experts tomorrow. Is that?
States.
Sorry, the 2 states experts, the rebuttal experts tomorrow. Is that accurate?
That's correct, Your Honor.
Okay. Do you anticipate fact witnesses for rebuttal as well?
I think we're still deciding on that, but I think if we do, they'll be short.
Okay, do we think you'll probably complete evidence tomorrow?
Yes.
All right, so we are kind of on the original track at this point.
Seems that way, Judge, absolutely.
So we'll probably complete evidence tomorrow. If not, we'll complete it early Monday. And then I would anticipate arguing Monday. I think we should be prepared to discuss instructions sometime tomorrow so that we can have those ironed out before Monday, possibly over the lunch hour tomorrow, depending on where we are. So I'd ask you both to take a look at those this evening so that if we have wrinkles to iron out, we can get to work on that.
Yeah, I don't know your preference. I know some judges like to make a record on the defendant not testifying. I'm perfectly willing to do that at direction you choose.
I would want to do that before you rest.
Okay, we can do that.
So
then.
tomorrow morning, we'll do that
Sure.
Obviously outside the presence of the jury before
Absolutely.
you rest. And then we'll probably make a formal record on the instructions Monday before you argue, which gives you the weekend in case we miss something.
Okay.
But let's anticipate we'll make a brief formal record on the defendant's decision to not testify tomorrow before you rest your case. And then we'll put the rebuttal witnesses on.
Thank you, Judge.
Okay.
Thank you.
Well, you guys get a chance to.
Don't you have the,
We thought it was really well. Cafe 39. It was.
Yeah, so, yeah, let's leave the discovery. And our defense, and then what we'll do.